Hi, Jessica Nadav bringing you this week's Davar Torah for Parashat Vayigash. If you're enjoying these videos, by the way, please share, subscribe, comment. It's nice to find comments. So, on to this week's Parashat Vayigash. And this deals with the confrontation between Yosef and his brothers before he reveals his true identity to them. Over the past few weeks, as you know, we've been discussing the selection of leaders to lead the Israelite nation. And two beautiful ideas struck me from this week's parasha. One relates to something crucial that is required for the choice of leader, and the other relates to the essence of us as a nation. A couple of weeks ago in Parashat Vayeshev, we discussed the potential of Yehuda as a leader. How the brothers listened to him, but following the sale of Yosef into slavery, how he'd been demoted by his brothers. Last week in Parashat Miketz, we ended the parasha with the brothers bringing Binyamin to Egypt as ordered by Yosef, and a goblet being found in his sack. Yosef orders that Binyamin remain in Egypt as his slave, and the brothers are free to go. And so we come to this week's parasha, Vayigash, which begins with Yehuda immediately drawing near, Vayigash, and saying, I'm going to paraphrase here, please take me instead of my younger brother, because I promised my father I would look after him, I guaranteed his safety, and I would bring him back. How could I possibly now go back to my elderly father without his youngest child? It will kill him. Immediately upon hearing this statement, Yosef reveals his identity to his brothers, saying, Ani Yosef, ha'od avichai, I am Yosef, is my father still alive? Yosef is witness to the first person in the Torah to achieve perfect repentance, what we call teshuvah gemura. That's Yehuda. A perfect repentance is achieved only when a person finds himself in a similar situation to one he's been in before, in which he has sinned before and has been in before, and is able to repeat a previous sin, but doesn't. In other words, a person is in the same situation, he could repeat the sin, but he doesn't. That's what we call a perfect teshuvah, a perfect repentance. Why does he not repeat the sin? Because he's a changed person now. Okay, and so we have Yehuda here, who was responsible for Yosef being sold into slavery in the first place, and now faced with the prospect of leaving Binyamin behind as a slave, chooses instead to offer himself in his stead. That is perfect repentance. And this is what makes Yosef reveal his identity to his brothers and forgive his brothers. We had already seen in Parashat Vayeshev, and we mentioned it at the time, that following the incident of Yehuda and Tamar, you'll remember, that Yehuda becomes the first person in the Torah to admit that he's done wrong. He admits he's wrong. Here he goes further. Not only has he already admitted he's wrong, but this time he goes further and actually repents. He's in the same situation and he doesn't do it again. He is a reformed or a genuine penitent sinner. He was named Yehuda, you'll recall, because his name has its root in the verb lehodot, to give thanks. You remember his mother at the time said, his mother Leah, at the time of his birth said, this time I will thank the Lord. Lehodot, to thank. However, this word is also related to the word lehitvadot, which means to admit or to confess, which according to the Rambam is a key ingredient in repentance, in true repentance. So maybe his name was already giving us a hint or a sign as to the kind of person that he would grow to be. People, even leaders, make mistakes. The Torah accepts this. But what matters is that that person recognizes what they've done, that they admit the wrongdoing, and they change, so that when confronted with the same situation again, they don't do it again. They act differently. So we learn here that what marks a leader is not necessarily perfect righteousness. We don't expect our leaders to be perfect, but the ability to admit their mistakes, to learn and to grow from them. And this is what marks Yehuda as the forefather of kings to be, please God, and the person after whom we as a nation are named, Yehudim. The ability to admit our mistakes, take responsibility, and change for the better. So turning our attention to the second idea that spoke to me, and which relates to our essence as a nation, as a people. As I mentioned earlier, Yosef, when revealing his identity to his brothers, says, Ani Yosef, ha'od avichai, I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? But this makes no sense at all. Yosef knew his father was alive. His brothers had been speaking to Yosef about their father constantly in the Parashat before. They've told him countless times that their father is alive. Why did he need to ask? So several answers have been suggested. Rabbi Andrew Shaw offers one from Rav Sorotskin, a Rav from pre-war Europe, who later moved to Israel, to the modern state of Israel. I believe it's a beautiful understanding of the verse. What had happened until this point? The brothers had come to Egypt. They'd not come to see Yosef, they'd come to see the viceroy of Egypt. They didn't know the viceroy was Yosef. This person was second only to Paro. And one speaks differently to someone in authority. One may say things that might not be entirely accurate. The brothers could well have been saying things to the viceroy that might have suited their political purposes, or may have possibly given more sympathy to their cause. It's possible that it could have happened. So Yosef here says, Ani Yosef. I am Yosef. Talk to me as a brother. We're family. Talk to me as my brothers. Don't talk to me as people coming to grovel in front of a viceroy. Talk to me like family. We're family. Is my father really still alive? Tell me as my brothers. Because family is different. Family should be different. Rabbi Shaw goes on to share a very cute story that in New York, one of the largest banks, Chase Manhattan, once launched a new big billboard ad campaign. And it read, "You've got a friend in Chase Manhattan." A few weeks later, an Israeli bank launched its own campaign, its own billboard campaign, in the predominantly Jewish areas of New York. And that billboard read, "You've got a friend in Chase Manhattan, but a bank leumi, we are mishpacha." And that's the key, right? We are family, we're one big family, but a family nevertheless. It brings special privileges, but it also brings a lot of hassle, a lot of aggravation, right? Families are not always simple. So it brings us a fair share of disagreements. Since October 7th, unfortunately, we've been reminded of this. We've been brutally reminded of our larger family, of the fact that we are a Jewish family. And although we are often reminded of the divisions between us as a community, of differences in communities, we are family. It's our family. And there's a deep beauty in being part of a bigger Jewish family, of a wider Jewish family. Yes, we may have relatives that irritate the heck out of us. But when push comes to shove, we are brothers and sisters, despite everything. We are in fact one family. We've all heard the stories of achdut, of unity, especially coming out of Israel. All the stories since October 7th of beautiful, beautiful stories of achdut, of unity between our people. And unfortunately, it's taken our enemies to remind us of this. Please God, may we be blessed now and in the future, always to live as a big family without the need for brutal reminders of any description. Be'ezras Hashem, we should live with achdut and be blessed with unity and shalom. Shabbat shalom.